first question is, in what ways has your experience in the task force impacted upon your professional and career plans? So I'll begin. So from my point of view, the topic was really good. It was on brain drain and it really interested me. So the point was, my job was to strategize policies, and basically what I want to go into in the future will be like advertising and creating campaign strategies, which will involve skills like creating policies, creating solutions to solve a problem which I will be presented with by whatever company that comes before me. So the skills that I used in task force in creating and thinking about policy strategies to solve this current problem of brain drain will definitely prove useful in the future for me, because it is definitely needed in a lot of professional careers. And the next point is, since policy for Penang Institute on Brain Drain largely involved research, purely research skills, and it'll probably be done in like an office environment, it is something that I do not look forward to in the future for my future career. I do not wish to be solely in an office setting and purely doing research. Is not something I'm totally passionate about. Even though I like solving problems, I don't necessarily like to do research. But it was still a really good experience because I learned a lot about Penang, which I didn't know before. And the brain drain issue is definitely something that needs to be solved. But generally, in terms of purely research-oriented work, it's something that I don't look forward to. And I still am glad I took task force to realize this.
Yeah. That's it? Yeah. On my part, on what ways in my experience that task force has impacted upon my professional career and plans, task force has definitely made me realize that it definitely helped me realize that what career am I going for, and is it really needed, or the skills that I learned. And yes, it is, because as I am taking a minor in journalism, and I actually plan to go into journalism or writing columns for magazines or newspapers, right? So I definitely know that the research skills that I achieve or learn in this unit will definitely help me in my future work, right? And I'm not really interested in writing, in a sense, like writing really, really long documents, but I definitely have ideas out there that I want to contribute to policy making. So for the policy making part, I think it would interest me more than the background writing part. Yeah. And also, task force had helped me to develop my skills in interacting with people, in the sense that because there's teamwork required in workplace in the future, especially like if I'm going to journalism and whatnot, I definitely have to work with my editors, my other fellow journalists out there, to work in team, right? So it definitely helped me to be more understanding in how people work, how to give and take, and also because that the task force group is really big, it helps me to deal with different personalities of people. So yeah, it definitely helps in that sense.
Alright, so next question, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the second question is, what lessons have you taken from your experience working in teams throughout the task force? So I'll begin again. So, this is something not uncommon to most people or to men, but basically human beings are very different, and in working in a team as large as this, 12 people, I have noticed so many different traits in each one of them, and it can either complement one another or it can conflict with one another. So different people have different skills, different values, different work ethics, and different thinking, which even though you may have the same objective or same goal, it may not necessarily produce the same result. You won't have the same outcome as you initially did before. So that is something one should take account for, which is something I did as well. But the good thing about our team was we understood this very well and we worked around it despite our differences, which was very good in the end. Next. Okay, so what I've learned about working in a team is not uncommon to other teams as well is basically learning how to be patient and understanding. Because as I said, human beings are so different, work ethics are different. So, and especially in a team as large as this, things will occur, like mishaps can occur, unfortunate events can occur. And so you need to be patient and understanding in producing a report such as this, a large report which demands a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of work and effort put into this. So, and accommodating each other's needs is important, because even though you may be graded individually or a group, it doesn't really matter. It should be accommodated with other person's needs and interests, just so that it'll benefit you in the long run as well. So as I said, things can occur. So what I have learned is definitely I need to make room for unexpected events. If someone is sick, if you plan to meet today, if someone is sick, oh no, does the work stop? I'm sure you need to make room for that and work around the issue, because if you continuously let problems stop you from progressing, you won't progress. So you need to make sure you have room to maneuver around these problems, and which I think our team did really well as well. We didn't have a lot of problems, but even when they did arise, we managed to overcome it without any hassle, because I believe we were patient and understanding enough to actually move past that. Yeah.
Alright, now my turn, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what lessons have I get from experience, or what lessons have I get from working in groups in task force? Definitely what Yodhin said was correct, because I feel what he felt too. And another thing that I learned from it is to expect less but aim high. What I mean in this is like, you should expect less and not expect too much from others, because when you expect too much and if it does not meet the quality of your work, or if it does not meet the time that you set it for, you'll be disappointed. So rather than having to be disappointed and having a negative feeling towards others, I think we should just start from expecting less, so that you make space for feeling angry for others. I don't think angry is the right emotion, but that negative feeling that you had towards others. So when you start less, you don't really have to have such negative feelings towards you. Yeah, but the thing is, when you expect less, you have to aim high, so that your quality of work is there. Because when you aim high, when you expect less, if the work comes out crap, right? When you aim high, so you just edit it to the way that you want it to be, in the quality that you want it to be. Did that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, so the thing is, expect less, aim high. That's how I feel about it. And next thing is learn how to give and take. I feel this is very important when you're working in a group. And one thing that you should know is like, in give and take, it doesn't mean that what you give and what you take back is equal. Because if you work in a team, there's bound to be some sacrifices made. And if you somehow ended up giving more and getting back less, as what I said, you should expect less, so you don't have a bitter feeling towards working a team, because this is how it is. Like, pretty much when you give and take, you shouldn't expect too much from others. That's one. And second thing, you should learn to be empathetic towards other people's situation. For example, if people are sick, for what Yodhin said, you should be understanding, like, if they're sick, they can't make it, then you have to work around it and try to find other solutions to back up the whole situation and make it work. And in the end, results matter, but not the workload, because most of us, we aim for like 4,000 words, right? But in the end, it's much more like we should help each other out, rather than having to pinpoint each other like you didn't reach your word count, whatnot. Because in the end, I kind of feel like the arguments are more important than the word count. And if people just have smaller parts and they do not have much to talk about, you should actually help them, rather than just criticizing and not giving any constructive feedback. So I think pretty much in the end, this is what I learned. If you were to criticize, you make sure you have something to give back, and just to give and take and be more understanding to others. Yeah.
Okay, next question. So the next and final question would be, what advice would you like to give those starting the task force in the future? Okay, I'll begin. In my opinion, a team contract which was set out in the unit was quite essential and did provide like a foundation for us to work on, because we gave authority to one person to make sure he managed the team well, and he did do a good job in that. And so when you have this team contract, it's sort of just an early consensus in the beginning of as how your team should work, but generally as you progress, things may not work the way you want it to, and if you do need to make sort of verbal amendments to it, you all should maybe continuously try and work to have a team contract that continuously shapes how you guys work along the way as you produce this report. And okay, so rarely you are given the choice to choose your team, but you are given the choice to choose your topic. So understand the topic really well, understand what you might be asked to do, and make sure you are interested in it. If you're not interested in it, and you may not be giving your full amount of attention and maybe your full capability in producing a quality report. So if you don't have interest in it, it's a waste of time, and it's going to be a huge burden on you, because task force will take up a lot of your time and will have a lot amount of stress on yourself. So if you don't have any interest in the topic, it may not be a fruitful thing for you in the future. It depends on the person really, but yeah, that's my opinion on it. Also, manage your time. Everyone here in that group, in a group of 12 especially, needs to manage your time properly, because it's going to take up a lot of your time. So managing your time is crucial and essential to meeting the deadlines, because even though you all have one deadline, another person may have set another internal deadline for themselves to make sure they've done work, or maybe they just have a lot on their plate and they couldn't meet the deadline. So it can be detrimental to the group as a whole if you don't manage your time. So you wouldn't want to be that one cause for like 11 people's failures. So you need to take that into account as to how it impacts the team. But ultimately our team, we did very well. We all worked with each other, we helped each other out, we managed to produce a fine report on time. So teamwork, as Kim said, is very important. Give and take is very important. Lastly, don't be afraid to ask mistakes from your group mates. If you aren't sure with something in your report, because this was very new to all of us, so if you aren't sure, please ask Dr. Joel or your lecturer, ask your teammates if you're struggling, if they need help, because eventually it's a group work, it's a group effort. It will take into account on how everyone is doing, so everyone wants to do well. So don't be afraid to ask ask questions, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because eventually in the long run, all of you all would want to be successful. Yeah.
Yep. Alright, my advice to future students, hi future students, so this is my advice for you. What Yodhin say is pretty correct. That's what I think about it too, because some points, I do have certain points that I share similarly to him, but it sounds like, make sure that you pick topics that you're really interested in and you have knowledge in it. I mean, even if you don't have knowledge in it, but make sure you're interested in what you're researching. So when you pick the topics, be really wise on which one you want to choose, because you're gonna stick to it for like 12 weeks. And the thing is, because when you choose the topics when you're interested, right, you are interested, even if you have no knowledge in it, you are interested to do the research on it, because you generally have some interest in doing research on it. And when you do research, it actually contributes to the group, so your interest is actually quite important in building the foundation of this whole report. That's how I feel about it. And the second point is, like, when you have knowledge on the topic that you choose, right? When you have the knowledge, you are a pretty important person in the group, because you will help to steer the steering on which direction you're going, and you will be the person to let the group know whether they are on track or not. And when you have knowledge in a certain subject, right, you totally have interest, and you can help the group to maneuver around easily. Yeah, that's how I feel about it. So make sure that when you pick topics, be sure that you have the topics you're interested in, or you have a little knowledge on what's going on, so that also when you have knowledge, you can pick the parts or individual parts that we're doing, right? It's much more easier for you to pick, and it's easier much more for you to script out whatever you want to write. Yep, that's how I feel. And another thing is like, and if in the first 2 weeks that you're taking task force, and if you're really, really, really not interested at all in task force, just leave it as it is. I mean, as what Yodhin says, if it's gonna take out a lot of your time, and if you're not really interested in task force, just leave it, because let's be honest, to me, task force is a very, very interesting subject because I have interest in it. But if, let's say, to you, a future student who have no interest at all in the subject, just leave it as it is, because it takes up a lot of your time. And if you're not interested in doing research, you're not only going to burden yourself, but you're also going to burden your entire team as a whole, because you're not just meeting on time, your work is just not up in par to quality of what other people are thinking, you're just not as interested as others. So if you do not have a passion for it, I would suggest you just take another subject. Because initially I could say task force is a very, very good subject to help you to build your future career and understand what's going on. But if you really have no interest, so might as well, you just have to leave it. Yeah. I mean, it's a bit harsh, but
Yeah.
Is that it?
Yeah, I think that's it, right?
Did I make my point right? So yeah.
Yes,
Thanks,
fine.
Joel. I really like task force.
Yes.
I mean, it's a new subject per se, but it needs improvement, but it is not a bad start.
No, it's a good start.
Yeah,
it's
it's a
definitely
good
something
start.
very useful, and it just needs some minor tweaks. But overall, it's a very good subject.
Yeah, so I pretty think it contributes a lot.
I like the topic. The topic was nice.
Yeah, I mean the topic that we had was pretty useful. I learned a lot
Yeah,
from doing.
definitely.
I didn't know much about Penang and Brain Drain. Like before that, I didn't know about like Talent Corp and whatnot.
Yeah.
I definitely
I'm-
have some knowledge on how federal and law works and whatnot. I did contribute my part in my knowledge and whatnot. That's why I say you have to have some knowledge in it. But I didn't know that there was the existence of Talent Corp and whatnot.
Yeah, I didn't know how the Penang economy was structured. I didn't know you focused on manufacturing.
Yeah. So definitely I learned a lot from this, and thanks a lot.
Thanks, Dr. Joel.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. For the first question that I'm going to start off with is, what lessons have you taken from your experience working in teams throughout task force? So first of all, to be sure of what is it that you want to focus on. The reason behind this is because as we were delegating the group work, we were deciding whether you want to go for the frontal part, background, or you want to do the after all you have understand from the background, you will want to create this policy recommendations, which is I would say it is the essential part of the report of task force itself. So it is very important to be clear of what you want, because a reflection for myself is that this is because I found out that I'm actually more interested and have more ideas in discovering and contributing ideas to policy making part, as I was helping out other members on their part here and there. And of course, to also research and know what you needed to know when in seminars, in the regular meetings that we ever have with my group members. It is important to contribute to the group as much as you can, because by contributing, you will know what kind of things that is necessary in the group, and also your group members will feedback to you, and you will get to see any lack of information or excessive information that will be unnecessary, but normally that wouldn't be the case because the topic is pretty much straightforward. so you wouldn't run off the topic that easily. And also thirdly, I realized that also because it's such a big team with 12 of us, so we are expected to have 4K words per person, and at the end of the day we realize that word count is not the point after all, because our word preferably, and of course it is always the quality that counts over quantity. And next is to put enough of time and effort for every meetups, and to get clear communication between group members. Is because that if you didn't get to communicate directly and properly and clearly, the after effects of it is just you can't proceed with anything at all, or perhaps after you proceed and only you found out that it's not going anywhere. So that is where communication part really it's very important for such a big group of people working on a single report itself. So that is why time and effort is needed to have a very clear communication between group members. And WhatsApp group actually works, and we do have Slack. Slack so far, we can get to see what is there any overlaps or sharing of documents on the Slack itself, so that we know who has research on certain articles that can be similar with their parts. So that's why you need to do enough research, you need to get clear communication with who is doing what, and so on and so forth. And next thing is to always back members up with whatever parts you can fill in. This is what I've learned as well. It's because as we're compiling the report, we get to see that some parts can be lacking of perhaps stats, or perhaps certain details or references. This is where I see myself contributing to that, because it's very crucial for certain, of course, most of the things that I've added in is because you don't just help out in a stagnant way where you just drop in what you have research and write on, because that is your part. But I would say that perhaps by contributing more to others, people could find it extremely helpful and useful for their parts, to enhance their parts, so that we don't just throw off our parts. Because the report is the whole report. It's not just a single mini parts here and there. Okay. And next is to connect with one another. That I've learned this part is to not just meet up for the sake of the unit, but also to understand each other better. For example, some might be going through stress, some might be going through really hard times in life. That's where you help to fill in whenever you can, and it's for us to work things out even better. And next thing is to be fluid with the flow, and this is in line with what I've said earlier on. But at the same time, you need some ground rules. For example, some of the casual rules that we set through our meetings or through WhatsApp, like some informal deadlines, so that we can reach the deadline first before the formal deadline, so that we have time to help each other to not just we complete certain things and just stay there. Yeah. And to be fluid and to be flowing with the flow, it is also so that you would know what else to fill in to enhance the report. And by adding the ground rules, it's also so that some accountability will be within the group as well. It's not just one person doing it. Next thing will be what advice will you give to those starting task force in the future? So first of all, it's very important to give support to members from time to time if they are going through very stressful time throughout the semester or in your personal life, for example. And also, you would definitely see that and get to experience real life experiences. And because this is realities in life where you work with one another and you get to see the real people from the institution as well. And of course, to be easygoing, to carry out things in a fluid way, so that you don't just aim to be effective, but you want to communicate and to also get things done and try not to delay the process as well. And definitely, by working with different kind of people and meeting each and everyone from different courses and majors, you get to see how they research things. You get to learn from them as well, and they will get to learn from you as well. It is a very good experience of exchanging ideas together. And I find it super helpful for future settings for myself, mentally and physically. The third one I would want to say is how useful was the group contract in facilitating effective teamwork, and what would you have included if you had do this all over again? So at first, the contract, it seemed to me that it's too formal to start with, but as we go through the contract together, as my group were going through, I felt that most of the content managed to help us to start off with very essential ground rules. So these ground rules are actually able to help us to steer the way to treat the coursework and ultimately the whole process of task force in a more serious mood, but also to see that there's a need for this group contract since there are so many of us, and of course for accountability as well. And what would I include is that I'll definitely emphasize the effects of not contributing as much, because this in order that we would help one another. It's not just you contributing, but also contributing to other people's part so that you can help them better. And also to have quality work, and I will include this as well, to have quality work instead of elaborating the quantity of work until we lose the plot, until we lose the original intentions of the report itself. Because I'll say that one report itself, especially for it is a real life report that we're gonna submit to Penang Institute, for example. So it's not something that is just fictitious or just for research, but it's going to be out there to be presented. So definitely the quality itself is very important for the group. That's why the contract should have emphasized more on that. So this is from me, and thank you for the unit, Dr. Jao. Personally enjoy it a lot and learn, and I really do appreciate working with my fellow group members. It was a very great experience, and for us to prepare and it is helping us to understand more and more about Malaysia. Especially I'm a Malaysian myself, that I can get to know more about the cultural context, and as a communication major student, I really find it helpful for my future career. So thank you, Dr. Jao. This is from me. Thank you.